If it's happening now, then by golly, we are going to deal with it now. Welcome to part 1 of our Give Me a Break special I'm calling College Bribery, where tonight we are going to look at the people who have been arrested or who have been charged with the college cheating admission scandal. This comes after yesterday. Yesterday, Lori Loughlin, who was one of the people in that college admission scandal, was released from prison, while her husband is still in jail. And you might be asking me, well, why are you focusing on this college admission scandal when you should be focusing on other topics? The reason for that is, I don't want these people getting the wrong impression here. I mean, this is what the New York Times reported. These people have raised a lot of questions here. Those charged include wealthy and powerful parents accused of paying millions of dollars in bribes, exam administrators and athletic coaches accused of manufacturing student achievements, and private admission counselors accused of coordinating it all. These people were charged for it. Let's look at the parents. The parents of this. Federal prosecutors accuse dozens of parents of paying millions of dollars to help their children secure spots in prestigious American universities. Let's look at them. Gamil Abadelias, a senior executive resort operator. Gregory and Marisha Abbott. Gregory's the founder and chairman of a packaging company for the food and beverage industry, the former head of a private label clothing manufacturer. Elizabeth Kimball, who's owner of the media company. I mean, the teachers and test administrators, these are all from the New York Times, so we now know 3 people, from the name of a few: Lori Loughlin, Massimo Gamil, and Felicity Huffman. Those 3 people, as I come on the air, were charged for this college admission scandal. They've accused dozens of parents for this. Massimo Gamil, who's a fashion designer, and Lori Loughlin, actress. Peter, Jan, P.J. Sorrento, David Cebu, Devin Sloan, John Wilson, Robert Zanglio, Elizabeth Kimball, Austin, Felicity Huffman, Douglas Hodge. He was a former chief executive of one of the world's biggest bond fund managers. But these raised a lot of questions here. I mean, this is from the New York Times. I mean, they did this article back in 2019, and last year, I mean, even these people were admitting to these scandals. I mean, the wife was released, and the husband is still in jail for this stuff. The husband just needs to admit it and just pay the price. But the New York Times asked these questions. And these people These people were part of that admission scandal, and these questions were asked. I mean, who's been charged of the scandal? The questions were, who's been charged of the scandal? The ringleader was William Singer. He was the lead winner in this. He was the 59-year-old consultant who worked in the college counseling business for a better part for 3 decades. 3 years, for like 3 decades. He was behind the able to bribe coaches and test monitors for the final exam scores. And in this one, he pleaded guilty. All 33 parents, many of them on high profile. These parents include the television star Lori Loughlin and her husband, fashion designer Mosmo Galili, the actress Felicity Huffman, and William E. McGalshan Jr., a partner for the private equity TPG, and Ms. Huffman plead guilty along with 13 other parents in federal court in Boston when the investigation is based on April 8th. Jane Buckingham, who was an expert on youth marketing, she was also charged in the scandal. The athletic coaches, they were accused of accepting millions of dollars to help underserved students for a wide variety of colleges and universities in Texas, and Austin to Wake Forest and Georgetown by suggesting they were top athletes. Rudolph Meredith was a former coach. He pleaded guilty to wire fraud, honest services with wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit honest services with fraud. But the U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts said one of the client misdemeanors paid $6.5 million to fascinate a child's admission to college. Many times more than what they paid for the other parents. But the list just goes on and on and on. These were the coaches, the players. But before we move on, we're gonna repeat what happened here in part 1, and it's gonna be repeated in part 2. So I don't want to have to. I gotta let you know beforehand here. So it's gonna be repeated in this part, and then part 2 on Wednesday. I'm gonna repeat. But we're gonna tell you how. But I'm also gonna tell you how the scheme worked. This system is operated by falsifying students' test scores or fabricating the athletic status. The authorities say, here's what the authorities say it worked. Parents paid for scores, but according to the prosecutors, they paid between $15,000 and $75,000 for higher test scores. Mr. Singh also encouraged the parents to get a learning disability waiver for their children, which can give students more time to take the test, allowing them to do so without the regular supervision. The cheating went down in 3 ways. Someone else would take the SAT or ACT exams when the student person on the scheme would serve as the protocol and guide the students to the right answers, so someone would review and correct the students' answers for the tests were taken. Many students are not aware the answers would be changed, what the prosecutors would say. University coaches and administrators were paid to secure admission for students who may not have even played the sport. So if they even done cheerleading, they'll pay them to get them in cheerleading. Students' faces were photoshopped on other athletes' bodies and bogus achievements. That's where I added to the college applications. That's how that scandal was put in place. It's also all under wraps. Much of the money that parents paid was disguised in donations for a non-profit organization controlled by Mr. Singer's associates, fueling the money through the organization allowed the parents to claim tax deductions. I mean, I can't even begin to imagine how wrong this is. Cheating your way to college, that is some serious jail time right there. And even what the FBI has put out. And even to what the FBI says, I mean, the FBI is looking into this case. stand-ins were paid. They paid between $15,000 and $75,000. In many cases, students were not aware of the cheating. We know now that Lori Loughlin's daughter, Olivia Jade, spoke out weeks ago because of this case. Elizabeth Kinsley owned a media company, used ministry student services twice for her daughter in 2012 and then for her son in 2017, according to documents. Her daughter attended Georgetown as a appropriate tennis recruit, and her son was accepted to the University of Southern California and track and field pole vaulter. But he was caught off guard during orientation. I mean, this is what the document said. The spouse, and this is what the transcript said. The spouse, and this is what the spouse said. So my son and I just got back from orientation. It went great. The only kind of glitch was he didn't. My son didn't tell me that it was at the time. Like, right? And the handwriting samples were provided. But the documents, who owns a boutique market firm in LA, agreed to pay $50,000 to the company. And even handwriting. To whom may concern to provide an example of my current writing style, thank you for your attention sincerely. And they were paid. $195 set below the governess agreed to pay bribes totaling $500,000 in exchange for having their two daughters designated recruits to the crew team, despite the fact they did not participate in crew, thereby participating in their admission to USC. The athletic accomplishments were faked. I mean, this is what the FBI said. And on Wednesday, what we're going to do is look at all of these and give you a repeat of what happened in case you missed this episode. So, here's a little preview tomorrow. We're still going to talk about this admission scandal, plus why these people want to do it, and also look at Olivia Jade's interview, why she decided to speak out, and why she decided to tell her side of the story. And why was Lori Loughlin released early? Didn't she deserve her time? I mean, she was an actress. I mean, many loved her. She was a legendary Full House. I mean, I loved her first of all. This comes as two questions. Why was she released today and will not spend her time in jail with her husband? And two, why wouldn't she be in jail? Why wouldn't she be in jail? A lot of times. Now we know who's been charged here. They have helped dozens of parents, and this guy helped dozens of parents, including high-profile Hollywood actors, to get the children in top schools according to their charging documents. And tomorrow, well, we're going to just look at all those documents, read a portion of those documents. I'm not going to read all of it because it's a half-hour show, but I'm going to read to you a small to medium-sized portion of the documents and give you the background here, so you may have missed since you local news. That's coming up on tomorrow, Wednesday. And remember, if it's happening now, then I tend to deal with this shit right now. Thank you for joining us. I will see you all tomorrow for Give Me Break Wednesday for part 2 of our special college bribery. Good night, everyone.